What's up, brother? We're back on here, getting together for a quick
Going
video
on?
to talk about this Alex Smith stuff. Um, Washington is no
Who?
stranger. We're no stranger to drama and criticism and a lot of crap that's happened in this organization. Much of that self-inflicted, right? I mean, in our
But shout
lifetime,
out to the Wizards, though, right? Wizards have won 6 in a row. Let's go Zards.
who's that?
We got a bright spot here in DC.
Who, who's that? Um, but yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, like, in our lifetime, this is probably by far the worst run organization in the NFL. Like, yes, they've made the playoffs, 3, 4 times, but I just mean as a whole, this organization just does a lot of things they shouldn't, and they're ridiculed for that, right? This Alex Smith stuff, I feel
I think
like
when you're
is
talking about off of the field, including that, right? Like the
yeah,
scandals, the
yes,
the Dan Snyder, the Bruce Allen stuff,
yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Because if you're looking on the field, there are worse run organizations.
This is
The Bengals, the Browns, the Raiders.
the damn good culture.
They're horrible culture. But when you include the scandals, the cheerleaders, the settlements, 100%.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
So
Doesn't get much worse.
this Alex Smith stuff, I feel like is not that, and I'm very critical of this team. I haven't bought any merchandise. I haven't spent $1 on anything on this team since RG3's rookie year, which is now 9 years ago or whatever. So I'm very critical of this team. But this stuff is not that, and I'm like furious at what's happening and what Alex Smith continues to come out and say. If you haven't heard, Alex Smith, who just officially retired, has continued to pour criticism on the team and specifically the coaching and training staff. There was a story came out in a GQ interview a couple months back, and now it's on Sports Illustrated, where he's talking about how he found the coaches to be, quote, patronizing, meaning he believed they preferred a cute story, the comeback already at the end, and his dad believed the team sabotaged the return. None of the Smiths could figure out, why they were doing so. They the QB was directly quoted as saying, "I'd rather have somebody right in my face say, 'What are you thinking?'" It pissed him off. In this story, he's just talking about how he didn't find it to be fair, right? How he was being treated, how maybe they didn't want him to, get on the field, and he was unhappy with the sort of workload he was getting in practice, and still not seeing the field. What are your first thoughts about, the continued criticism of what happened, a few months ago now?
So when I hear what he's saying, where he's saying the team is patronizing me, that it felt like they didn't want me to get back on the field, that I was part of practice, or I was part of a like training camp or doing drills, but they were just kind of, yanking my chain, I guess is the way to say it. Um, I don't see why they wouldn't, after the leg injury that he had, after like almost dying. I mean, he was, inches away from getting his leg amputated. He had a blood infection. He was septic. He could have died. And he worked his way back. But if I'm the brass for the Washington football team, I don't want him to go through that again. The last thing that I want is, for Aaron Donald to jump on his back like he's looking for a piggyback ride and snap his leg again. That would just be a nightmare for me.
Can you imagine?
And at this point, we have Kyle Allen. They were still trying out Dwayne Haskins. We didn't have Heinicke at that point, but there are other things that you're going to explore. And even if Alex is able to give you something that season, you have to weigh whether it's worth the risk. And if it is worth the risk, he's not the QB of the future. I mean, this isn't going anywhere.
And Rivera made it clear. Rivera didn't shy away from getting in front of a camera. And when he was asked about this, he said, I was scared to death about putting Alex out there. That is something that I struggled with every day. Those were his words. It's unfortunate
I think Rivera
we patronized him, because I could tell you that was not our intention. And that's all it is. And just a little bit of backstory on how we even got here. Washington traded a 3rd round pick, which who cares about a 3rd round pick, right? But more importantly, we sent Kendall Fuller, young up and rising corner who was great out of the slot for the couple years he was here early. And he went on to shine in Kansas City and sealed the Super Bowl 54 with a late interception, won a ring. He won glory. Washington went and corrected that mistake and got him right back, right? And now he's, definitely a starting caliber corner. Made some plays, last year, and was integral in our defense.
He looked good last year.
Yeah. And so, like I said, they corrected one mistake, and now we're like, we got to talk about the other mistake. It was bringing Alex Smith, who was a good quarterback, a veteran, a leader of men. He has seen every defense. He knows every audible, will learn any playbook. Washington we haven't had a good quarterback. I mean, outside of Kirk Cousins and some flashes from RG3 in his rookie year, we haven't had a stabilizing quarterback presence in forever. And so they go out and they get Alex Smith to provide some stability, which I think, a lot of people liked it. But he's also a replaceable quarterback. He's been replaced by Kaepernick, replaced by Mahomes. He's not the hottest girl at the dance. Is that the saying? I don't know. There's a saying.
I think it's prettiest girl at the dance. But
yeah. Sexiest girl at the dance.
He's not the finest joint I've seen.
Not the finest joint on the corner. No. Then they don't just trade for him and his, and his existing contract. They extend him 4 years, $71 million. I'm just a guy. I'm not here to count anyone's money, but 16 seasons in the league, he's made almost $200 million as far as earnings. Good for you, Alex. Good for you. Good for the Smith family. That's awesome. He plays the most important position in a bloodbath, brutal sport where you're going to get hurt. It's a foregone conclusion. You will get hurt. So what happens? Got hurt. He got hurt. And it was bad.
What?
Nasty.
He got hurt?
I think so. Someone told me. 1 million surgeries later, they're trying to turn the page, right? Rivera came here and inherited a crippled Alex Smith, who was up in Dan Snyder's booth, getting the full VIP treatment with crazy things coming out, crazy things holding his leg together. He inherited Dwayne Haskins, who was going to be his, rookie quarterback. We won't even get too far into him. Simply put, he's just kind of added onto the list of terrible cute quarterbacks that have played here. But they make it work somehow. Last year, the division was horrible. Alex is said to be on the road to recovery. A lot of people are happy for him. He's already a champion, right? If he can make this comeback. I can't even begin to imagine how difficult that road was for him. And the fact that now Alex, for the last several months, has been ripping this team and the coaches for holding him back. It's infuriating. What obligation, what incentive did Rivera have and his staff for Alex to return to the field? He's not Aaron Rodgers.
None.
It's not Tom Brady. It's not Russell Wilson. He's not even close. And Rivera came to this.
He's
team,
not Aaron Rodgers. That was kind of the story of
Rivera didn't pick
the draft
Smith to come over here. Yeah, they look alike, I feel like. But Rivera didn't pick Alex Smith to be his quarterback. He came to this team and he was already on the roster. And that contract was kind of a burden. And he's, like you said, he's not the quarterback of the future. what obligation, what incentive did this team have to rush him back in? Why does Alex feel that they treated him unfairly or whatnot? We're not there, right? None of us are. We're just freaking average Joes, average fans. But I mean, like we were talking about, had they pushed him to go back in, and they put all their chips on Alex Smith getting back in there in the starting role, imagine what happens if what you say and Aaron Donald piggyback rides him and he snaps his leg in half. How do you recover from that as a coaching staff, as an organization?
And how do you look? How do you look? Because everyone in the media, which the Aaron Donald thing did happen, and Alex's leg just happened to hold up. But how do you look as a coaching staff when the media sees this guy who almost died? You have a rookie QB that you're trying out. You end up going to the old vet to try and win some games, and he snaps his leg again. Or he breaks his back or something. It's a no-win situation for them unless Alex comes in and lights the league on fire, which he didn't. To Rivera's credit, he did. I think he handled it really gracefully and said that, he's sorry that Alex feels that way. That's not what they were trying to do. He was really proud of Alex for coming back, and he led them to a playoff berth, which Alex did go 5-1 as a starter, which is great. But you look at his stats, he wasn't good. I mean, he had 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions in those 6 games. 2 of the defenses that he faced were Seattle and Dallas, which were like historically bad defenses.
Yeah.
And you look at the game logs. Our defense was holding those opponents to like 15 points a game. And in today's game, if you can hold someone to 15 points, you better win that game.
100%.
Like, sure, he had a 66, 67% completion percentage, but when you're throwing everything behind the line of scrimmage, it's kind of hard not to complete 2/3 of your passes. Yeah. He should have. I haven't looked it up, but I guarantee you, air yards per target in that span, he was the lowest in the league, because I haven't seen him throw a pass beyond 7 yards downfield since he was in Kansas City. So he came in and he won some games for us, but I don't even think he wasn't entitled to that opportunity. Where I think the Redskins, where the Washington football team messed up, was signing that extension. I actually kind of liked the move in bringing him in from Kansas City. I didn't hate it. Kendall Fuller at that point was okay. I think in the DC area, like a lot of us were kind of down on Kendall Fuller. We felt like we could upgrade. Alex Smith felt like a safe option at QB. Bringing him in didn't seem that bad. He was only making $17 million a year at that point, but extending him was the issue, and that's where Washington did him a huge favor. And I think even entertaining the idea of bringing him back after that horrific injury was a favor to him. They didn't have to do that. There was a lot of talk of them cutting him after that, and I think that they would have been justified to do so. So one of the things that everyone
they kept him on
has always said about Alex Smith. Yeah. One of the things that everyone has always said about Alex Smith, one of the more likable things about him, is that he's a team first guy, that he's a leader, that he makes the right decisions. He's, he can use discretion in certain areas. And I've always thought that he was a really likable guy. I was really rooting for him to come back. But these like interviews, and I'm seeing pictures of him standing on a rock in front of the ocean with sunset behind him and like my story kind of thing. It just screams that he's trying to get like a movie deal or something out of this.
Maybe.
I think it's a really bad look.
I think so too.
I don't like what he's doing.
And
I think the team and like you were sorry, I didn't mean to keep interrupting you.
Oh, go ahead.
Like you were saying before, I've always been down on the Redskins. I've always despised how they handled things, but I think they handled his situation really well. And I think he's just, I don't know, he's just out there getting clicks.
Everyone remembers. You have to remember the look on his wife's face, and how she looked like she was going to pass out several times in that game where they had to put Smith in. Right? If he's ready and he's cleared, Haskins was a complete disaster. He'd been benched permanently at that point. Kyle Allen snapped his ankle, and it was enter Alex Smith time. And I mean, that look that she had, it was the same feeling I feel like many of us had, and that was real. Like that happened. And how can you disregard like Rivera and his staff and how they felt? How could they feel confident about this? No, it's and the rest of that game was much the same. Smith dropping back, hesitating, legs not really under him like they used to be be able to kind of get outside the pocket, and it wasn't pretty. And at this point, Alex Smith is back, right? Whether Rivera and the team liked it or not. Outside of that Dallas game, and like you mentioned, where they're terrible, it was much of the same. It wasn't pretty. The team was finding a way to win. And other than his pocket presence, kind of being unstable, he couldn't throw the ball. 15 yards down the field. They make the playoffs. They win that awful division, and they're going up against the eventual champion Tampa Bay Bucks, a team you're going to have to put up some points, some offensive output against if you're going to have a chance at all. Alex Smith is listed questionable with a bum leg, and I think this is when Grant Paulson talks about how this is probably the main beef that Smith has, is that he's butthurt about not getting the nod for this game after all he's been through. I mean, if you're in his shoes, right, you're dying to get out there in that playoff game. But the fact that Rivera went with Taylor Heinicke, a practice squad QB, as much as we all fell in love with him, he's at this point a fourth or fifth quarterback on the team. The fact that they went with with him instead of Alex, it tells it all. They had no confidence that he could put up enough points, and they were right. I'm sorry. They were right. You play that game 100 times with Alex Smith at quarterback, there is zero chance that he is successful against that insane defense. And I'm not even mentioning the idea that, like, the coaches also, like you said, they don't want to see this guy dragged out of the field in a stretcher again. That is a real thing. And so he's ripping the team time and time again. And guess what? He is retired. He made it clear he wanted to continue playing football. Washington let him go so that he can go do that somewhere else, and he couldn't find a team. Rivera, the Washington official Twitter, and even Chase Young tweeted out just big props, respect, how great it was to play with Alex. And now the SI story. Goodbye, Alex Smith. I still have a lot of respect for him. And I'm sorry things didn't work out the way you wanted it to, but it's kind of scumbaggy to keep coming at this team in this way. And maybe they didn't deliver, but neither did you, man. Neither did you.